So I was driving home from work and I thought it's been a while since I've done an update on the second channel. But not only that, it's been a while since I've done the podcasty style video that I really wanted to try and do at least once a week here on the second channel. I did say from when I first started this that I want it to be a place where I can kind of just relax, be myself. If there's things that I want to talk about in the RC world or just in life in general, I want this channel to be the place where I can just jump on and do that without having to worry too much about doing promotional stuff and trying to please companies by doing my videos in a certain way or just doing the reviews in general. So the second channel is very much based on anything I want to talk about really, or anything that's going on in the RC world. And today I want to talk about Rlaarlo, because Rlaarlo are a brand that are definitely going places in the RC world. We're seeing some really cool stuff from Rlaarlo, and the thing that caught my attention earlier on today was actually on my break at work, and I noticed on their Facebook account that they put on there that there was some breaking news, and there was 4 huge new RC models revealed. It actually says, "Get ready, RC legends, to celebrate Rlaarlo's 4th anniversary. We're dropping 4 all new large-scale RC cars, starting with the official 1/7 scale and 1/10 scale Mitsubishi Evo Rally Beast." So it looks like there's going to be a 1/7 scale and a 1/10 scale Evo. Now the 1/10 scale Evo, I'm guessing, is going to be based on the XTS rally platform. I have already reviewed that on my channel, and that actually is a very good car. The one thing that I've just always wished Rlaarlo would do is give us licensed bodies, and it looks like for the first time we're going to see that with this new Evo, because it does say, I mean, this photo was posted, or this artwork was posted 8 hours ago on the Rlaarlo page. It does say Mitsubishi Motors official licensed product, and then it says, officially licensed model revealed, 1/7 and then /1/10 scale in brackets. So it looks like we're getting a 1/7 scale and a 1/10 scale version of this Evo, and it's going to be officially licensed, which is very exciting actually, because this is the first time we've seen a fully licensed, officially licensed body from the guys at Rlaarlo. And I think most people who have seen my reviews and other reviews, we've noticed, or at the very least you would have noticed, that sometimes the bodies on some of the Rlaarlo cars aren't really that nice. They can sometimes be a little bit gimmicky as well. This is the first time that they're kind of going down the realistic route, which I think is going to be a game changer for Rlaarlo. I actually think as long as they play their cards right, as long as they do things well and they do things properly, this could be the opportunity that they've been waiting for, because this could make them really, really popular, and it could actually get them a lot higher up the rankings, if you will, when it comes to, or especially if you look at some of the well-known brands out there, the well-known sort of names in RC, if you will. This could be the chance that, this could be the opportunity for Rlaarlo to really project themselves forward, to kind of get up there with the big players in the RC world, like your Traxxas, Armour, Team Associated, all the big brands that are out there. This could be the first time that they're actually managing to kind of get in the same group. I think there needs to be a little bit more backing from some of the UK hobby shops. I know Mike at Serious RC obviously is one of the main sort of, he's one of the main people who gets these cars over from Rlaarlo and sells them and sells the parts and everything else. And that's great for Mike, because he's doing very well and fair play to him. But it's just shame that apart from like FMS and some of the other sort of well-known Chinese cars, UK hobby stores don't really like to entertain the Chinese cars, and I think they're missing out really, because there's a lot of Chinese cars out there which are very good quality and deserve a place at least they deserve a little bit more credit than some hobbyists and some hobby shops, especially for us here in the UK. Basically, what I'm getting at is there's a lot of brand snobs out there, and I can understand. If you go back 5 years ago, when sort of the Chinese cars weren't that good, very toy grade. But ever since I started my channel in 2020, it's been over sort of 5 years now, I've seen a massive change in the Chinese sort of RC cars and how far they've come. Before I got into YouTube, they weren't really, most people wouldn't even give them a second look. But these days, they're really coming far, especially, the MJX, Rlaarlos, I would say are probably first and second sort of, best budget or affordable brands. I mean, some would argue that MJX and Rlaarlo, with some of their cars, are no longer affordable, because if you look at the price of the new 1/7 scale Citroen Rally car, for example, from MJX, to a lot of people that's going to be out of their budget, because that isn't as affordable as some may like. But the good thing is the affordable options are there with some of the smaller cars in the Hypergo range. And they can't just, I'm glad they're making some bigger cars, and I'm glad Rlaarlo are making some bigger cars as well, because I think that's what's really going to get them a bit more popularity this end of the world. Because, yes, we like our mini cars, and I know some places like mini cars more than the UK market and the US market. But yeah, we do like our 1/10 scale, 1/8 scale stuff, especially when you're talking about proper hobby grade RC cars. 1/10's probably the most popular, I would say, and then maybe 1/8. Mini RC cars do have their place, but I think most people who have been in the hobby for a while tend to go for slightly larger cars than sticking with the smaller cars, because you'll find that with the larger cars you're not as limited to where you can run them. Just seeing what else it says on the Rlaarlo post, actually. So they're doing a 4-year live stream event, and I believe it's going to be Annie, who is kind of like Rlaarlo's PR person. She works with a lot of us creators. Annie will message us to tell us that there's a new car coming out. Usually that's on WhatsApp, sometimes it's through email. She will do all of the sort of promotional stuff, tell us what's coming, when we should be posting our videos, that kind of thing. Not that everyone sticks to those rules, but a lot of the time people do. Sometimes there's loopholes and people manage to get their videos out early, and look, I really don't care who does what, but I tend to try and stick to the rules where possible. Now the Rlaarlo event is going to be on July the 5th, and that's at 10 AM Beijing time. I'm not sure what that is, UK time or US time. It's going to be live on YouTube apparently, and what to expect: there's going to be mega deals up to 40% off all their cars, plus 20% off parts. There's going to be some free gifts being handed out. There's going to be some raffles. And then the interesting thing here, it actually says on this Facebook post that there's going to be a first look at 3 more mystery models. So yeah, I think there's going to be some exciting times coming up for Rlaarlo. I think we're going to see some very cool stuff, and I think we may see some surprising stuff as well. Maybe stuff that we didn't quite expect to see from Rlaarlo. I've got a good feeling about the next couple of months. Now, if you can't wait for this live stream, there are some images that they have also put alongside the Evo artwork that they put on there earlier. It's kind of like a Unimog style truck, which I'm guessing is going to be based on the 1/7 scale crawler platform. I may be wrong, and it may be an entirely different chassis setup, but it looks like it may be based on the JK07, the longer wheelbase 1/7 crawler. I've got a feeling that is going to be based on that, and then obviously we have the very, very cool body that looks extremely cool. I'm quite excited about that. And yeah, I know I say it all the time, I'm not the biggest crawler fan, but I can definitely get behind something like that because it's a little bit different. And if that is 1/7 scale, I think that's going to be incredibly cool. So I'll be looking out for that. If I do manage to get to jump onto the live stream and see what's going on. And then the second picture looks like a Porsche of some sort, or a Porsche. Some people like saying Porsche, some people like saying Porsche. Personally, I say Porsche, but I know there are some Porsche fans out there who say you shouldn't say Porsche. That looks incredibly cool as well, and I've got a feeling that is going to be possibly 1/6 scale, and I hope it's going to be 1/6 scale, because I think we do need to see more sort of large on-road cars. You know, all right, you've got the Infraction, you've got the FTX. Oh, what's it called? Super Forza, is it? Super Forza. And I think there's probably a couple of others as well. But it would be nice to see some larger. Obviously, you've got some of the Hebao on-road cars, which are 1/8 scale, I think. It was the VTE 1/7 scale. Can't remember. It'd be nice to see some larger on-road cars coming out, and then that should hopefully get MJX, ready to release another sort of 1/7 scale on-road car. Maybe we've already got the rally car, so maybe there'll be another on-road car coming. And then there's a third image as well, which looks very interesting. I don't know what that's based on. If anyone knows what car this is actually based on, I'm seeing someone has put on there maybe a Nissan R90C. I don't think I've ever seen an R90C, and I like my cars, so maybe I've just missed that one. But that looks quite cool. And again, they're saying that these cars are going to be quite large. Is this going to be 1/6 scale? Is this going to be 1/7 scale? If this is going to be a fairly large car, could this be a new potential speedrun world champion? Whatever. You never know, because a lot of the speedrun guys like the larger platforms. That's why a lot of the speedrun guys run the Hebao platform, because I think I'm not massively into speedrunning, but I'm guessing you've got more weight, you've got more ground clearance, it's just much easier to build a speedrun car on a larger platform compared to like a 1/10 scale platform. But yeah, again, this looks incredibly interesting. Very excited to see what that is going to look like. So yeah, now let's move on to what I would like to see from Rlaarlo. Now, I really like what they're doing here. I like the fact they're going larger. I would definitely like to see more licensed bodies. Now, Rlaarlo have already got some really good platforms out there. Now, when I say that, I mean they've got some really good chassis out there. There's no reason why they couldn't reuse some of the chassis they already have. Some of the successful ones, like the Omni Terminator. They could easily make some licensed, trucks out of the Terminator chassis, for example. It's not totally impossible to do. The Omni Terminator is a tried and tested platform. It's one of the best handling and one of the best RC trucks out there, outside of the big named brands. Why couldn't they give us some kind of licensed body, maybe? They've got some other really cool cars that they've made. I think the only issue some people may have with the licensed bodies is it may increase price, because usually when you've got a officially licensed badge on there or whatever, it kind of increases price. Now, some people may not care about that. Some people may say, I'm going to pay more for a better looking product, and I'm kind of agreeing with that group of people. I'd rather pay a little bit more and get a much better, high quality product, rather than pay, or instead of paying less and kind of getting less, in a way, if that makes any sense. I'd rather pay more and get more than pay less and get less. I don't think that makes any sense, but I think you kind of get what I'm the route I'm going down with that one. But yeah, I think some very exciting cars will be coming out before the end of the year. We usually see some good stuff before Christmas as well. So once they've done the live stream and they announce what's coming and what we can expect, I reckon we will see some more cool stuff before the end of the year as well. So yeah, just wanted to do a little bit of an update really on Rlaarlo. I like Rlaarlo. You know, I've worked with Rlaarlo quite a bit. I think they haven't always done things properly. You know, a lot of people who have sort of been around for a while on my channel and some of the other channels, there's been some times where they've messed up a little bit, but then every company, you know, it's what makes them a better company. You can't always try to be perfect. There's going to be times where you don't quite get it right and you get feedback from reviewers, you know, people who are testing the cars, and then people who leave comments on my videos and everyone else's videos. You know, Rlaarlo are one of those companies that do take notice, and sometimes the CEO of Rlaarlo actually comments on some of the videos, and he will make an appearance and he'll make it known that he's taken on board the feedback, and in the future they'll work on stuff, and they do. You know, Rlaarlo tend to listen to what we want. They make changes. Sometimes they don't always get it right, but a lot of the time they do. And I think that's why Rlaarlo are becoming one of the most popular, I keep saying budget and affordable, but I think that's changing slightly. I don't think they are as, you know, especially some of these newer cars that are going to be coming out, because they're larger, they've got license bodies, you know, all the rest. You start ticking all those boxes, and obviously the price is going to start to go up. Are they really still going to be known as an affordable? It's just like MJX. You could say exactly the same about MJX with some of their new cars, the larger cars as well. They're quite expensive. Rlaarlo's new cars are going to be quite expensive. So is it fair to say that I should stop saying Rlaarlo are a budget brand, Rlaarlo are an affordable brand, Rlaarlo are a cheap brand? Because you hear me say that, you hear other channels say that. Do we need to now stop saying that? You know, have Rlaarlo and MJX got to a point, have those two companies got to a point where they're no longer should be considered a budget brand, and they should be considered just like every other RC brand out there? Because you don't say Team Associated's a budget brand just because they have a cheaper car, or they release a cheaper car that costs $100 and is like the best thing ever. You wouldn't say Team Associated are, oh yeah, great budget brand. You know, just because Rlaarlo have some cheaper options, just because MJX have some cheaper options, doesn't mean they're just known for being a cheaper brand. I don't know, maybe everything I'm saying doesn't make any sense. Let me know in the comments if any of that makes any sense, or if you kind of get the idea, what I'm trying to get at there. I think it's been a busy day, I'm a little bit tired and I'm confusing myself, but what I'm trying to say is, can we still consider Rlaarlo to be kind of like a budget brand, affordable brand, or is that slowly changing now that they're releasing some higher end cars, you know, slightly more expensive, larger, and then obviously with the license bodies come in, is that going to make a lot of, is that going to change up how much these cars actually cost? And of course it is. It is going to change up how much they cost, because you're getting more car, you're getting more product, which of course is going to lead to higher prices. Would you be prepared to pay $500-600 or £600? Everyone always says, not everyone, but I've had other people from the UK leave comments on my channel saying, why do you always say dollars? And I think lots of channels are affected by that. Kev's channel, there's loads of channels out there who have comments from people here in the UK who say, why do you always, we use pounds, why do you keep saying dollars? It's very simple. It's because the UK is a small place. The RC hobby in the UK isn't as popular as it used to be. I don't think it's as big or as popular as it used to be. We don't have that many racetracks. We don't have that many RC clubs. We don't have half as much as what the US has. The US, RC is massive over in the US. And the majority of our views and our, people who use our affiliate links and all the rest of it are in the US. That is just how it works. So when people in the UK say, why do you not use pounds? It's because the biggest market for us as RC content creators is the US. And that's what we kind of have to, base our pricing on. And when we're comparing cars, we sometimes compare stuff in dollars, and that's because, again, we're appealing to the bigger audience who watch us as RC content creators, which of course is the US market. Sometimes all you have to do is click the link and go through to the website, and you'll see how much something is in pounds. It's not always a difficult thing to do, or just go on Google and type in what's $200 in pounds, and you'll know. But that's the reason why a lot of us say dollars and use dollars instead of pounds, especially like a lot of the UK channels. A lot of the bigger sort of popular UK channels will always sort of say dollars instead of pounds, and a lot of people have covered it before, but again, that is the reason, because the biggest market for us when we're doing our videos is the US market. But anyway, I hope that was a decent sort of second episode on this kind of like RC inspired podcast. I don't think there's many people out. I don't think there's anyone out there that does an RC style sort of podcast where you just sort of hear someone talk about a topic for 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, maybe up to an hour if there's a special guest involved. I sort of really like doing stuff like this. It's very chilled, it's very relaxed, and again, this is something I wouldn't do on the main channel. Maybe I should. Maybe this should be something I did on the main channel. Maybe it would have done really well. But I've said it before, but the main channel just feels too like grown up, too sensible, too clinical for me now. I like to try and do the reviews and keep it all formal, and I didn't really want to do this kind of thing on the main channel. I really wanted to just make it really relaxed, really chilled. Just jump on, have a chat with you guys for 20 to 30 minutes or longer, and just upload it without having to worry too much about, the editing side of things and trying to get things right. And so, yeah, I really hope you like this kind of thing and you would like to see more of this kind of thing. Maybe on the third episode I can bring in a special guest. I've already been speaking to a couple of other channels who are quite interested in sort of coming on as a special guest, whether or not it's just voice like this, this episode today, episode 2. It may just be voice, maybe there'll be video later on down the line. I think I'd like to do like live streams a little bit later on down the line, where it's kind of live and I get someone in and we have a chat on camera and cover some topics, and I think that would be quite cool. But I want to do that after I've kind of got my workshop set up out in my garage. I'm in the middle of building, somewhere where I can kind of do a little bit more than I have been over the last few years. I won't necessarily be working out of there the whole time, but it'll be nice to have a place where I can sort of start and end my videos without having to worry too much about the weather being bad. So that's the reason why I'm trying to get something set up out in the garage. And I'm kind of getting there. There's a lot of work to do. There's loads of things to get right. So that's going to take a little while yet. So for the time being, for the next couple of months, I would say, you'll probably only hear me banging on for 20 to 30 minutes, maybe longer, in this sort of kind of style of video, where it's quite simple, quite basic. But I'd like to think I cover some decent topics. Obviously, if you missed the first episode 1, I did talk about opinions in the RC world and how we all have them, and people say certain things and other channels don't, and just it's definitely worth checking that one out if you haven't listened or watched. There's not really a lot to watch; it's more so a listen. But if you've got, I think it's about 20 minutes long. If you've got a spare 20 minutes, maybe check that one out after this, or when you get some time, check out the first episode. I think it's definitely worth listening to, because I do talk about some semi-controversial stuff in that video. And yeah, I do want to be one of those channels that kind of talks about stuff that other channels don't really want to talk about, or stuff that people find uncomfortable to talk about, not necessarily afraid to talk about, but I'm more than happy to talk about topics that people are unhappy to talk about. I'm a firm believer in, debating an idea and just talking about stuff. So if you have any sort of topics or ideas or anything you'd like to hear me talking about in future episodes, let me know in the comments, and I'll make a list of all the topics that people request, and I'll try my best to cover most of them. I'll definitely check out your ideas. Drop some comments down below. I'll make a list and we'll go from there. But yeah, on the third episode, so possibly next week, I've got a lot on the main channel at the minute. I've got some good stuff coming up on that, so that's taking up most of my time. But if I can jump on and do another episode, possibly with a special guest, who I can't confirm who that will be yet, but I think I've got someone in mind who does have some very good opinions on certain things in the RC world. He has a certain take on things. Yeah, I don't want to give away a lot because I think there's a lot of topics I would like to cover. I think there is a topic in particular that me and my special guest would like to cover. So I will send him a message shortly, actually, and just confirm with him if he's still up for doing something like that. So stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed this kind of video, if you enjoy just hearing me chat for a certain length of time, then make sure you hit that subscribe button, because it will definitely help out. It will definitely help the growth of this second channel. It'll definitely give me more motivation to make more videos like this. And of course, it's something a little bit different. It's not something other channels are really doing at the moment. You're seeing a lot of reviews. You're seeing a lot of kind of formal stuff. There's very little just chilling out and relaxing and talking about RC, talking about life, and talking about general day-to-day stuff, which is kind of what I want to do around here. And again, exactly the reason why I started this second channel, to make it a very chilled place where we could kind of hang out and talk about stuff. So we're going to leave it there, because I'm looking at the record time on the screen and it's coming up to 30 minutes. So I think that's a long enough time to hear me talking and to listen to my voice. So we'll leave it there for today. Once again, if you have any topics you'd like me to talk about, then drop those in the comments section down below. Hit that subscribe button and be on the lookout for episode 3. Cheers, guys. Let me know also what you think about the new Rlaarlo cars, and I'll catch you soon. Take it easy.